Everybody, we are back. It is Safe to Lodge, favorite is podcast, favorite is channel, favorite is everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course pandasups.com. Discount code TDL for 35% off. Now, hopefully you guys are joining us. I know House of Dragons is on right now. So we thank you guys for coming through and joining us tonight. And we're going to talk some training camp scrimmage, right? Because we had the big scrimmage come this past, yesterday, last night, right?
Saturday night, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wish it was like the Packers where we got like to watch it like it was a TV game, like the Packers do, like a whole.
Yeah. I feel you.
So like that, so we could watch it ourselves. But yeah. So a lot of the news out of the training camp scrimmage, of course, the quarterbacks, right? The quarterbacks, the Minshew versus O'Connell. A couple other things I saw was like DJ Glaze playing with the ones for the most part, which I thought was crazy. Not that it's crazy, but that is, interesting. Let's just say that, right? Yeah. So you got DJ Glaze out there playing with the right tackle, which is, like I said, that's, expecting Thayer Mumford to start. That's interesting. And then, we had a lot of good plays from the rookies too. So we'll talk about that a little bit. How the rookies are looking and all that good stuff. But, of course, we're going to start with the elephant in the room, right? The quarterback competition is heating up. It's heating up, Matt.
Is it heating up or cooling down?
It's a little. It's a mixture of both, right? It's cooling down, but it's also heating up because Aiden O'Connell went into camp as the favorite, and as we get closer to the preseason game, he is looking like he is starting to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gardner Minshew had the better night last night. He had 2 touchdowns and an interception. He did throw a pick too, but O'Connell threw 2 picks. Vic Taper said he sounded like he was pressing, which is interesting, which means the competition might be getting to him a little bit. Yeah. So what are some of your thoughts on that really quick?
I mean, I think we talked about it both. I think we both kind of predicted Aiden O'Connell might win this, but obviously, like you said, it's starting to swing in Minshew's favor because it seemed like the offense started picking it up when what was it? Was it Thursday or something like that earlier this week when Minshew was starting to figure it all together and put it together and starting to target Devontae Adams, which is a pretty good strategy. So I think as far as it is right now, I mean, we still haven't seen the first preseason game. We're still about a week away, less than a week away from the first preseason game, and still very early in the process. But yeah, like you said, the momentum is all in Gardner's favor right now. And it seems like it came into camp as Aiden O'Connell's job to lose. And right now it's Gardner Minshew's job to lose at this stage. And he's making more plays. Like you said, he did have the 1 pick, but had the 2 touchdowns to go with it. And it seemed like Aiden O'Connell has been kind of all negative. Or I don't even know if that's a fair statement necessarily, but we haven't heard many hype trains about Aiden O'Connell, whereas Minshew's out there making plays. And again, the offense is picked up when he started taking off, and it seems like Aiden's just kind of stuck in neutral right now and not really pushing anything forward. And as far as going back to it, what was it, beginning of camp when Pierce was saying, I want somebody to take the competition by storm and start to take command of it. It seems like Minshew's the one answering that call right now for sure.
Yeah, I saw that comment about making NFL QBs live because he did get creamed twice. He got smacked in the face twice. Gardner Minshew, like they sacked him, like for real. Oh. And then so maybe. But I was thinking, maybe Pierce isn't like him because why you let your quarterback get hit like that?
Yeah, that's bold.
And not like yelling at your team. Like usually, like I think some other team, I forgot, somebody got kicked out of practice because they hit the quarterback.
Yeah,
I forgot what team that was, but that happened just recently. And
yeah,
the Raiders, no. You get your helmet knocked off.
Yeah, that's bold. I've been behind Pierce on a lot of his decisions, but I don't know if making the quarterback live, even in a scrimmage, is the smartest idea. That's especially when you're having a battle. You're basically saying both these guys we're not really sure which one's the starter, and the one that's playing well is getting pummeled. I don't know if that's what you're looking for before, you know, a little bit more than a month before the season, like 6 weeks before the season. But hey, he made it out of there, and maybe I don't know. Maybe that bought him something with Pierce. He showed some grit or something like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting strategy.
Yeah, man. I read that. I read that. I was like, wow, they're hitting the quarterbacks. Don't they have red jerseys on still? And I saw a picture of it, and I got a picture as the cover. They still had red jerseys on. So I don't know. That's crazy. But that just kind of shows the mentality of this team. Like, Antonio Pierce, the defense messes up. He yells at them. The offense has been bad all training camp. He hasn't said a word. Hasn't said a damn thing, Matt. So like it's interesting to see how this quarterback goes. But there's still a lot of time left. I was kind of last night, I was just thinking, like, what is the season going to be like if Minshew is a starter week 1? Like, what is my outlook for the season, right? Because even though they might be a little bit equal, right? Like from a perspective of, last year, how they look as quarterbacks, like what is the perspective of the season if he wins the job? Because in my opinion, it's preseason. I think he's going to, if he goes there and he's a starter week 1 for preseason, I don't see, like after watching Davis Mills, Davis Mills was just picking apart the Bears, right? And we know Davis Mills don't look good in a real game, but it's preseason, right? And he's playing the NFL and all those things, and it's going to be easier coverages for him and things he's not going to really see in the NFL. So he might play well. So that was my thought process when I saw that, and he's starting to take the job. Like, will he really lose it in preseason games?
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, like you said, I feel like that's a big part of it too. And I mean, on top of it too, it depends on what team's out there. Like, especially like they got the Vikings coming up on Saturday. Like the Vikings roll with all their guys and whatnot. Is Tom Flores in his or not Tom Flores, Brian Flores in his bag and like doing all his tricks defensively that he liked to do that we saw when we previewed the Vikings game last year, or is he keeping it simple? And like you said, this could be set up, like you said, for him to really, really, really take a strong commanding lead into the quarterback competition if he plays well. And Aiden O'Connell's going to need to dip into last year's preseason and have and match him at least step for step, especially if he's rolling with the second team.
Yeah, because and to me, I see somebody ask a question about something like that, but like it's not about me like with the outlook of how the team will play, because I think this is a defense team. If they're going to run the ball, I mean, they got to win with both these guys. They got to do the same formula. It's not really like a change there. It's just like, in my opinion, the guy who starts week 1, I want him to play the whole season, right? I don't want him to
ideally,
right? Ideally, right? You don't want to get to the point where we're taking him out, that he's not playing well enough, and we got to take him out and we got to go to the other guy. That's what we want to avoid. If you're the Raiders organization, is what you want to avoid, right?
Yeah.
And as a fan, it's what we would want to avoid too, is that happening. But let's say a scenario, and this I was just thinking last night, if Gardner Minshew, right, they still mess around and they find a way to go 9-8, like so somebody said that they almost made the playoffs, to go 9-8, 10-7, right? I mean, we're still trying to replace him, like, for sure, right? That's kind of like my thought process, like you're trying to replace him still. Like if Aiden O'Connell did that, it might be like you might be in QB purgatory a little bit, and you might be like thinking about it because he's a younger guy, and maybe
is he the guy type of deal?
Yeah, like we know Minshew's not the guy for the future at all, right? So like that's the thing with not having like a rookie behind him already, that you feel like if this did happen with a normal rookie that they had drafted first round, like I feel a lot better about it, right? But it's more like, okay, I want this guy to play the whole year, but we're still gonna have to look for quarterbacks, next year. So that's why it gets a little just a little different with him as the starters week 1. Like if he came in like week 6 or something like that and O'Connell was playing well, I feel different. But if he starts week 1, I'm gonna want him to play the whole year. And what if they mess around and like play good in defense and sneak into like a 7 seed or something like that, what do the Raiders do after that? They're going to try to go sign Dak, or they're going to try to sign Matthew Stafford probably because they feel like we're a quarterback away. So it's just a different outlook for the season if he starts week 1. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of. The only thing I'd say like differently is like I think if Minshew plays well enough for them to be like in playoff contention this year, and again, like you said, if Minshew, assuming he wins the job, week 1 starter and all that stuff, I don't know if they necessarily go after a free agent, but I definitely feel like they still draft the guy where like they can do the situation because he is on the 2-year deal and like you know what I mean. They can do a situation where like he like just starts for a year and you have the rookie sit, which seems to be the popular thing nowadays to do given guys like Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, and all those stuff. Like I feel like that's the approach. Like if you can prove like okay, you can at least be like a decent sustainable winner with Gardner Minshew and not like have the wheels completely fall off the wagon. I think they go that route of like let's give this guy 1 more year, let him finish out the 2-year contract that he signed, and we're going to draft somebody for the future because again, unless now Minshew could shut all of us up and have some sort of dramatic turnaround, some sort of Geno Smith like career mid-career revival, which I don't foresee happening. I think that's pretty rare. And maybe he lights it up and gets an extension. But yeah, I feel like if Minshew starts this year and again plays well enough to keep them in that like 7 to 9 win in the playoff hunt, like they'll probably go after and target somebody in the draft, especially if they don't feel like they have many other holes in the roster and they can afford to mortgage the future and trade up for someone.
Yeah, and the thing is, with Minshew, it's just more about throwing downfield for me. Like the offense is limited, and we got to play a certain way with him for sure to kind of get that done. You know what I mean? So you kind of just have to work it out that way with him, and it's a different way you got to win too. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But what about Aiden O'Connell? Let's talk about Aiden O'Connell a little bit. I mean, obviously, he's not having the greatest camp in the world. Right. He had a good OTAs. He had a good, spring session, and it's not adding up into the practices and training camp. So what do you think that he has to do to kind of get back into this race? Because, Minshew's slowly pulling away. It's very slowly.
Yeah.
But it's happening. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think it's just what you said. Like, I think he's got to kind of prove a little bit what he can do differently, what he can bring more to the offense more than a Gardner Minshew. I know Aiden O'Connell doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but if he can prove that, hey, I can connect on the deep passes and I can bring that to our offense, then that's going to be his best chance at winning the job at this stage in the game. I don't know. Like, I think you said something about him being like a little timid or he's not quite clicking or whatever for him. I don't know if he's just thinking too much, if he's letting the nerves of the battle get to it or just not letting it rip. But it just sounds like a guy to me that is almost in his own head in a certain degree, because again, I think he should win the job talent wise, but he's obviously not playing up to the standard that he even, set last year, where it seemed like he was playing better at least at this stage in the game. Granted, lower stakes and lower level of competition, but it seems like he's kind of let it all get to him probably more mentally than anything, if I had to diagnose it or anything like that. So
yeah, and to be fair to O'Connell, man, he's dealing with a lot of drops too. If he's dealing with a lot of drops there, that could be, and that's not your fault. I mean, Trey Tucker is struggling a little bit, but it's interesting to see that dynamic of him going in there and not playing like how you thought he would kind of, solidify himself as a starter, because he obviously went into training camp as like, okay, this is your job. How do we take it? And then, Minshew is probably picking up the offense just a little bit quicker than him because he's been in the West Coast, for basically his whole career.
Also true.
And it's probably just a little bit of a quicker transition for him because, O'Connell's never played in the West Coast offense. So his head might be, spinning because, somebody said that West Coast verbiage is probably kicking his ass.
Yeah. Probably thinking more a little bit. Yeah.
Thinking a little bit more than he has to be, but it is what it is at this point. I mean, we got to see what they could do, but it's just with Minshew, like what's the future if he keeps playing well? Because I want him to play well. I'm not going to say like, I want him to play good enough for these Raiders to win. Like, don't turn the ball over, do all those things. If he wins the job, he wins the job, and they gotta adjust around his skill set, hopefully, and they do the right thing around that way, right? So he could be Rich Gannon part 2. Somebody said. I mean,
And I think on what you're like building on what you're saying, I think we've talked about this before. Like the ideal situation between these two guys for the Raiders is that Aiden O'Connell wins the job because Aiden O'Connell does have more upside. Aiden O'Connell is the younger player who has the brighter future, but obviously you got to go with the guy that's playing better at the time. And if that's not Aiden O'Connell, then you got to make that decision and then figure out the future down the line. But yeah, kind of just piggyback off what you're saying. Like if you're the Raiders, ideally in the front office, especially, like you want Aiden O'Connell to win this job so that you can, at the very least, cross him off the list during the regular season to see if he can be your guy moving forward.
Yeah, I do want to say I got that Falcons game circled. That's game's personal for me. After all this, is
why is that?
Because they took Penix, man, for no reason. Like,
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
it's December 16th is circled for me, Matt. I just like
Bro, I'm thinking when's the Falcons game on the schedule? We're talking about freaking December. Just in August?
Circled. You didn't watch Drew Aller this week like I did, okay? Like, you know what I mean?
That's Monday Night Football too, right? That Falcons game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let's see. So let's get some of these questions here. We'll talk about DJ Glaze in a second. Is DJ Glaze everything Cable wanted Parker to be?
Maybe.
I don't know. Here we go. This is what I'm waiting for after preseason game number 1. Talking about Anthony Brown being the starter. I can't wait for that.
Bro,
Carter Bradley.
I don't get. People love Anthony Brown. I don't like. Everyone keeps like. I've got so many questions over. Like, I mean, I don't know if part boredom or just like whatnot, but I don't know why. What the infatuation with Anthony Brown is, but yeah, I don't know.
Raiders fans love the backup, and we know he is the backup. We have a QB competition, so we have a backup.
The backup to the backup. Yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, I don't know. What are the chances? Was that the question?
Yeah. What are the like?
He's a Raider for the hot takes. Point one. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of an out. So when we play this clip again, I didn't say it was 0. 0.1.
All right. Is it the best offense potentially that Minshew has played in? If so, no, the Eagles. I mean, he played with AJ. I mean, he played a couple games with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert.
And that Eagles line.
Yeah, and that Eagles line. And he had one decent. He had a good game. He did play the Jets though. I mean, the Jets were really bad. And then he played against Cowboys. He threw like 3 interceptions. So
yeah. I mean, I think the Colts too. Like they had a good offense. I mean, Taylor, I know he's banged up, but good receivers and Pierce and Pittman. Their O line played pretty well last year too. So he's played in some decent offenses in the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, he's he played with Shane Steichen, and playing that West Coast, knowing that verbiage, that might be part of the reason why he's picking it up. So
it wasn't that Jaguars offense that had Nick Foles, where Nick Foles was supposed to be, and when Minshew took over, didn't they have a good amount of talent?
Yeah, they had a pretty good talent too. I mean, Darrell Bevel, and that was Darrell Bevel, which is West Coast too.
Yeah.
Y'all see Drew apparently with the Chiefs. That was funny. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, writing about that now, but yeah, that was interesting. Someone else pointed out, like I can't completely take credit for this joke, but it was like, hopefully he's like their first round pick consultant. I'm like, all right, that I could see that one. But yeah, that was weird. Like him and he leaned into the Chiefs Raiders rivalry when he was the coach, and now he's like fully decked out in Chiefs gear. That's just sickening. Weird.
Yeah. Let me see before we start talking about DJ Glaze a little bit. I talked about this a little bit, but we talked about that they can't play 33 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, they can only play. They can unless all 3 are active. They can only play the third quarterback if the first 2 are injured. Like if you're the active quarterback, if you're the inactive third quarterback, I should say, you can only get in the game if the first 2 get injured. Yeah. So
yeah, my bad. Sorry, dude.
So like they could I guess they could technically make like if say Minshew wins the job, they can make Minshew 1, Brown 2, and then O'Connell be the third guy if they want to do it that way. But if they wanted to get those packages in. Yeah, but then Anthony Brown would have to be the backup quarterback if Minshew gets
hurt. That's what I was thinking. Haven't heard much about Parham. That's a good thing. You don't hear about offensive linemen at this point in the year. It's a great thing.
Also, still only a few days into pads too. Got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Does the West Coast favor AOC style? I would say so, But it's still, going from college where it's, even though if they run West Coast, it's not like the jargon they do on West Coast. Let's keep it real. And then going from Perkins, which is totally different, and then going back to West Coast, it could be it could be tough on a quarterback. So
I feel like West Coast, I mean, we talked about it too. Minshew's only played in West Coast offenses. Like, I feel like it fits him too. Like, they're fairly similar in that regard a little bit. No, they have obviously differences in their game, but both guys kind of fit into that style of play, I think, a little bit more. So,
yeah, is Hendon Hooker? Let's watch Hendon Hooker play. Has he played a game yet? Let's watch him play first before
he has.
We get there. I want to watch him play, and because he's the third string guy over there right now. Because they got Teddy Bridgewater. No, Bridgewater retired.
No, Bridgewater retired. I think he's the backup right now. Let me just look at. I don't know which one. No.
That's a good question, but let's see him play first. Let's get when AP get on with Shedeur Sanders, maybe, but I am not the biggest Shedeur Sanders fan right now, so I got to watch more. The games I watched just weren't that exciting. So same with Drew Aller. I just didn't see Drew Aller throw the football. Like, I wanted, are you going to throw? Like, do you throw in this offense? Like, what is this? Do you guys throw more than 5 yards? Like, what is this offense that he's running? So that was, cool. But he's like huge. He's the biggest guy in the field, and they're just like doing this dink and dunk with this dude with a huge arm, and it makes no damn sense. So,
because he can't locate it at all. Like, that was part of the problem with Penn State. Is like, he was supposed to be like, oh, Penn State finally has a quarterback, and then he just sucked in the beginning of the season, so they stopped letting him throw the ball down the field because I think he was like connecting at like a 20% rate or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm sure the number's wrong, but like, yeah, he like was spraying it all over the place. I mean, my guy for next year, and obviously lots can change between now and then, is Carson Peck. If that's my top guy and going into next year, which might be nice because he has familiarity with Bowers.
Yeah, I like Cam Ward a lot.
Okay, see how he does in Miami.
Yeah, we see how he does in Miami. All right, so let's talk about DJ Glaze, who is just Mumford hurt his hand, and this dude came in and he blocked Max Crosby a couple times, and now he's a starter. So, like, damn, you could block Max.
I did see that. I think it was Vic. Like, Max like saw that and then like saw the reports, and then Max ate his lunch like the next rep or whatever like that, and was all pissed off staring down the media. But yeah, I mean, getting even a couple wins against a guy like Max is huge. And I mean, we talked about it when we broke him down. Pass pro is the biggest question for him. So if he's ahead of schedule on there and he's proving both of us wrong, or mainly me, then hey, tip my cap to him. Because again, I didn't really think that was much of a competition going into camp. I don't know if they're taking it easy with Munford or what, but with that hand injury. But hey, if he's playing well, even better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to me, that's a good thing. It goes both ways. I mean, you can say, okay, we had Thayer Munford, we expected him to start, but Munford was getting just destroyed by Crosby. Like, even I went to camp and they weren't even in pads. Crosby would just keep going past him. It was just he just had no shot out there. And we talked about that, dealing with speed rushers, and Max is like everything. He's a speed rusher, he's a power rusher, he's everything, right? So yeah. He was going after Munford, all of Munford's issues. Who knows if he knows Munford too? He's been going after Munford a lot, who knows? And then DJ Glaze came in, and then Glaze has been holding his own because obviously, right? It wasn't just a fluke because it started off as like an injury thing, but it's Friday now, right? No, it was Saturday. They're doing their joint scrimmage, and he's out there with the ones more than Thayer Munford. Like, that is interesting. So that is just like that really catches my eye. So I want to see him in the game, see how he does, see how much he plays. He's probably gonna play a lot. I mean, he's probably gonna play like 2 quarters if he's playing with the ones, right? So yeah, I would like to see that growth, and he had a high grade, PFF and stuff like that. I mean, and his issue is speed rushers too, but maybe he's just so damn big, he's just so damn long that pause, but like he just has that thing going with him, so
yeah, it'll be interesting too, like this first preseason game against the Vikings. Like, I don't know how much either one of them will play or how much they'll be on the same side and whatnot and face off, but I got to imagine Dallas Turner's going to get some reps for the Vikings because they have I don't even think he's projected to start for them. They signed I think Wonham and Van Ginkel to to play on the edge this year. So it would be interesting to see how Glaze holds up against a guy that, again, was a top, 25 pick, something like that. A first round pick at the very least. See how he holds up against them, and him and Turner can win with speed around the edge too. So that'll be a fun matchup to watch and be a real true litmus test.
Yeah, I see a couple questions in here. Let's get to some of these questions I got. People are asking me if Mumford could play guard. Maybe they think about moving into guard. That would be tough for me. He did play guard at
he
Ohio
played
State,
it last year. Yeah, his last year.
He played left guard though too, right?
Yeah,
he did. He did play left guard. So maybe. I mean, it tanked his draft stock, but maybe he can. Maybe he could do something there. I don't know, man. I don't know. So I saw Trey Taylor and Tommy Eichenberg. How are they doing? I heard Eichenberg's playing really well up there. So Eichenberg's doing really well. He has a chance to probably make this team. That's probably where somebody asked me about where's Luke Masterson. I think it's where's Tommy Eichenberg. I think that's the problem. I think that Tommy Eichenberg started to creep up on Luke, right, a little bit, which is gonna be interesting. I think they're gonna if they end up keep 4 linebackers or whatever. I mean, I think Amari Burney's the guy who should be worrying about his job, because I haven't heard a word about him all camp. But I've heard about Tommy Eichenberg making some plays out there in zone coverage and getting his hand on the football and stuff like that. So I mean, that's doing pretty good. And then Trey Taylor, I guess he's been knocking down passes and showing off his man coverage skills. So I think he got a pick in practice a couple of days ago. So yeah, I mean, those guys are doing pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, with Eichenberg, I definitely think he's gonna make the team and what he said. But if the faster he's on schedule and the faster he can maybe take over one of those starting spots, the better. And I feel like a lot of stuff that he's been saying, they've been saying about him in camp, just looking instinctual and playing fast. Those are the 2 things I thought really impressed me with him at Ohio State. So it's good to see and fun to, or nice to hear that he's kind of picked up where he left off in college and adjusted the game quickly. I mean, he should. He was like a 5th-year senior, but yeah, it'll be fun to watch too on Saturday night.
Yeah. I haven't heard about this. Did you touch on Tyree and him being a trade candidate? Is this a thing?
So what I said that's missing a lot of context. So what my article point posted was someone asked me the question, who would be a guy that would be a potential trade candidate? And if Malcolm Kuntz gets a contract extension, which is the key kicker in all of this, so let's pump the brakes on that. If Malcolm Kuntz gets a contract extension, the way I look at it is what's Tyree Wilson's role in the team? We know this year his role in the team is the 5th defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
If you extend Kuntz and you're going to say Kuntz is your starting defensive end for the future, okay, well now you got 3 years left of Tyree Wilson, and he's going to be riding the bench playing, or he's going to be your 5th defensive lineman and whatnot, or do you try and trade him? I'm just saying if again, the kicker in this whole situation is if Malcolm Kuntz gets extended. If Malcolm Kuntz doesn't get extended, this whole thing is all for naught. If that happens, I think you can legitimately look into trading Tyree. And I think the other thing to consider too is Tom Telesco is not the GM that drafted him.
Yeah. So the thing is, Tyree had a good day on the joint practice, though. He was a lot of pressure he was getting. So I mean, if that's what I'm saying, if he can go out there and play well and he just has a role at this point. I don't think he's gonna play much defensive tackle as we thought. I think Adam Butler shut that down. I think Adam Butler is going to be on the field. So, if that is being shut down, and then of course Byron Young is, getting a lot of love in camp, right? So that is kind of being shut down. So he's basically like the reliever. So the other guys can get a breather at this point, which is not awful, but it feels awful because he was drafted at 7.
So, okay, I just want to recap. So if we got Adam Butler getting reps as a pass rusher on filling that role, got Byron Young stepping up. And again, and that's the kicker in the situation, Malcolm Kuntz gets the contract extension. Value on Tyree is going to be higher now than it is going to be in 2 years when he only has 2, or next year when he has 2 years left on his deal. Just what I'm saying. Again, big kicker in that situation is Malcolm Kuntz getting the contract extension, which we think might happen, but hasn't happened obviously yet at this stage.
Yeah. So let's see, maybe Cody Whitehair stepping up. I don't know. I'm not. I just hope he doesn't play. I don't want him to play. Do you move Mumford to guard? He's great at run blocking. That's what he does best. Talked about Luke Masterson a little bit already. How are the young corners looking outside of Bennett? Now, from what I heard, I mean, Devonshire got a pick yesterday. He picked off Aiden O'Connell. Cramion Richardson has been playing pretty well, knocking down a lot of passes. So I mean, those guys look pretty good, I guess. I mean, they're the guy who's really surprising, the undrafted guy is Ramel Keaton. Nobody's really talked about him in the chat, but I guess he's been balling all camp, and he had a really good day yesterday too. So, like Devonshire and those guys, they're playing pretty well, man. That's good to hear. At least they're doing their thing.
I feel like the corners have kind of been like this, or maybe you could probably loop on the entire secondary as a whole. Like the corners at least have been like the pleasant surprise of camp so far. Like we got Jacorian Bennett apparently playing pretty well. And like you said, Devonshire seems to be, Richardson seems to be a little bit ahead of schedule, and Devonshire playing well, and Trey Taylor getting picked. So definitely seems like the secondary, which we thought was going to be as big of a question mark as the quarterback situation, is proving a lot of people, including us, wrong right now. So good for them. Good for the team.
Yeah. Let's see here, man. Does Chris Smith make the team?
It's gonna be tough if Trey Taylor's playing well. Like, I think I talked about this last time. Like they're our opposite of each other. Of like Trey Taylor's gonna make the big play, might give up a big play, or Smith's gonna kind of be in the right spot and not give up anything too big. Type of player, but Trey Taylor's out there making plays, makes it harder and harder for Chris Smith to find a role. So a guy we thought a lot of people thought was going to be a steal in the 5th round might not even make it in year 2, which especially if they're depending on how many linebackers they're going to keep. If they keep 5 safeties, I think he's going to be in good shape, but he definitely won't have much of a role in the team if Trey Taylor stepping.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make a name for himself in those games, that's for sure. Does Glaze height advantage since he doesn't have as far to drop anchor get his pads low? Does it give him does his height give him an advantage since he doesn't have as far to drop anchor and get his pads low? I mean, sometimes height be a disadvantage. Sometimes, right? A little bit, I would say, but if he's blocking Max Crosby, that's why he's playing. Let's just keep real. He blocked Max Crosby a couple of times. They're like, whoa, and that's why he's the starter.
Height with offensive linemen, the biggest thing is like you want guys that have long arms, and usually if you're taller, you have longer arms. Like if you found like a short offensive lineman, but with like 6'8" arms, like that's ideal because he has natural leverage and he can lock people out. So height is really more of a just kind of a way to gauge like their arm length more than anything. Yeah,
that's true. Ceiling for Janarius Robinson, probably just like rotation. That's what I would say at this point.
Takes over Tyree Wilson's role. Further support we may take. I mean, I think probably the 4th defensive end spot. I don't know if he beats out Tyree. I don't know if he's talented enough, but yeah, I feel like that 4th defensive end role.
Yeah. I mean, I got most of these questions. What else we got? Divine Diablo. I mean, it looks like he's going to be a starter still. I saw that. Like, what about Divine Diablo? So somebody asked about Trey Taylor. We talked about Trey Taylor a little bit. He's making plays out there. He's doing his thing. That's what I would say about some of those guys. So what else we got here? Was Matt? Were you a DE as a pass specialist, or were you better versus the run, Matt?
I was not good enough to have a specialty. I mean, I guess playing the run, but yeah, my specialty was I was great at telling everyone they did a good job. My specialty was I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I just wasn't big, strong, and athletic enough to actually do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if I had to choose between the two, playing the run, but yeah, was not nearly good enough to have a specialty.
All right. Somebody asked, does DJ Glaze make beats for Darren Waller? Maybe he does. What would you pay Koontz? What would you pay Koontz?
I honestly don't have a great answer because it is like a bit. I feel like with Kuntz, it's going to be more about the guaranteed money because you want to give yourself an out if it's like, oh yeah, that second half of the season was a fluke. Even though I thought he played well in the first half of the season, just wasn't getting the sacks. So I feel like it's more about the guaranteed money. I mean, I don't know. Is 15 mil a year too much, too little? Like, I feel like that's probably about the going rate for a second edge rusher. We're looking at it. A really good one's going to cost you 20 mil nowadays because these dudes are getting like close to the 30s at this stage. But yeah, 15 a year. But again, I think the guarantees money is probably the biggest thing and would be anything hanging up any contract negotiation. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing. You know, after seeing Tyreek Hill get paid again, I still think they got to figure out how to get Max here before Michael Parsons signs for $40 million. They got to figure that out. I'm talking about that a lot. Like, figure out what you got to do to make that work. But the price is going up and Max is going up. So it's not like he's going to fall off. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Max is at 23.5, which is roughly 10th right now amongst edges. I'm just looking at it. 15. It's like 15 is what Hassan Reddick and Uchenna Nwosu make. So I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Maybe I was a little generous. I don't know. Chase Young's making 13. That's a decent comparison for Kuntz. I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be pretty low for. I mean, probably Kuntz probably be like 19, 20. You probably think if you look at those guys, right?
Jonathan Grenard, Khalil Mack making 19, but Max also 32.
Yeah.
Bosa makes 20, but he also signed Joey Bosa. But he also signed several years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Who's the best undrafted free agent? So I think Keaton. Keaton's been the best undrafted free agent so far. He's been making a name for himself out there. I think he has a chance, especially with that wide receiver spot open. You know, Tua Griffin's hurt, so he's hurt. He hasn't really practiced at all. And then Keaton's been taking advantage. He's taking that, that step, and he's a deep threat at least. You know what I mean? He can win deep.
You know what's funny too is when I think we were talking about it with Ramel Keaton, I think I said like his game is pretty similar to what you would think of like a Michael Gallup. Like I remember saying like that's the guy. Like if you're Edgar Bennett, you're telling him to watch how Michael Gallup operates, and obviously Gallup retires. Maybe Keaton ends up being the dark horse to step in and fill that role. So it was good to hear because I mean he's a guy I liked a lot when we broke him down. So interesting route tree, interesting player, interesting free agent.
Yeah, for sure. Can Glaze run block well enough for what the team is trying to do to be run first offense? That was my biggest problem with him is that he can't run block. So,
See, I thought it was the opposite. I thought he could run block. I just didn't think he could really hold up in pass pro. I just didn't think he had the feet.
Yeah, because the thing is, go ahead. What were you saying? Go ahead.
My problem with him was he struggled to sustain blocks. Like he'd get like knocked off his blocks like pretty easily and shed pretty easily. But I always thought he was much better. I thought he had more potential as a run blocker than he did as a pass blocker. That's why I thought he might be a better guard, or part of the reason.
Yeah. Okay. Hondo said the offense was terrible yesterday. When did you say that? Hondo has a little bit of an AOC agenda, so you got to watch some of these Raiders guys because like Paul Gutierrez has a Minshew agenda. And then, Hondo has like an AOC agenda. So like, AOC do something good, Paul be like, nice pass by AOC. And then Minshew do something, 15-yard run by. I'll be watching. I'll be peeping this stuff. You know what I mean? You guys have a little bit of a, you know what I mean? They're like rooting for somebody. Paul's he's a Raiders fan. So
that's great, yeah.
Yeah, man. So he's like low key rooting for Gardner Minshew to start. You know what I mean? Let me see. I take the questions for you. Do you think AP will grow as a head coach this season? I think they're going to be good. I still think they're going to be a good competitive team, no matter who the quarterback is, right? And then if you look at the opening of this season, I've been thinking about these things a lot, guys. I really got no tape to watch, so I just have all this time to think about random scenarios. If you look at the teams that they're playing early, especially with Justin Herbert getting hurt, And I don't expect Justin Herbert to play week 1. That'd be crazy. You guys have Justin Herbert for how long? Why would you rush him back, right? I don't expect him to play week 1. So let's say that game goes, right? And then they got the Ravens, which is going to be a tough game, right? But then you got the Panthers and the Steelers. And the Steelers are looking like they might start Justin Fields. So, there's going to be a lot of sacks coming that I feel like that is going to be a situation for the Raiders, right? So I still think they're going to be a well-coached team, and they're going to be ready to go and pumped, and they're still going to do a lot of good things, I think.
Yeah, you get Chargers, Ravens is going to be a tough one. Panthers, especially in the beginning of the season, which I think should be a win. Browns will be a tough one, and then you said Broncos, Steelers. That's a nice little stretch right there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, Broncos, I mean, they might play Jarrett Stidham, or they might play Bo Nix. Deshaun Watson is just a shell of himself. So, that's the thing.
But that's not what I'm worried about with Cleveland.
But yeah, you're worried about the other side of that. Yeah, I know. I mean, Gardner Minshew start, man. He put up 41, bro. He put up 41. Just saying.
Yeah,
put up 41. That was his best game on film. Was that game? And I'm not gonna lie, that was his best game on film. Was that game? So what else? What else I got here? What surprise do you think will be a permanent starter on offense and defense that's not a starter?
I mean, right now I got to go Glaze, right? On offense.
Yeah, you have to be Glaze, right? Yeah. On defense, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. Maybe like, I don't know. Maybe Adam Butler, but Adam Butler, is he a starter? Is that fair? That's not fair. That's not a fair answer to that question.
I mean, the guy that popped in my head just be Eichenberg. I don't think it will necessarily happen. I think probably Divine Diablo will be the week 1 starter, but like we said, like he's showing promise, showing the good instincts. He's a guy that started for several years at Ohio State and has the experience to potentially sneak up and steal that job. He's kind of a guy that I've had circled a little bit for eventually taking over that spot for Diablo. I just wasn't sure exactly when. I thought it'd probably be closer to the middle of the season, but hey, if he keeps playing well and showing off some good instincts and playing fast, then it could be his job.
Yeah. What else? What you got here? So this is something I feel. What would be the date Khalil Herbert is in Raiders camp? I was watching that. He looked pretty good. That's a Getsy guy, and I liked him coming out the draft, but we'll see. I would be down for that too. I mean, they were going to bring in Cam Akers, so obviously.
Oh really? They're not happy with Madison.
I don't know what that's about.
Did I see something that, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe someone in the chat can correct me. Did I see something that Madison hasn't been playing well? Or no, actually, take that back. I think Vic said he was had a good day the other day, but that was like the first I'd heard from him.
Yeah. But he talked about him catching passes, and on film we saw he can't do that. So
yeah, no, I've been a big fan of Khalil Herbert too. I always felt like I feel like he struggled to stay healthy, right? Like you think he went on IR at one point last year, like. And then Chicago kept adding like a bunch of running backs, brought in DeAndre Swift, and then drafted was it Rashawn Johnson from Texas. But yeah, I've always liked Khalil. A couple of years ago, which I think it was Fields' first start, it was at least his first win in the infamous Gruden game. Mm-hmm. He tore the Raiders apart on those zone concepts, and he's a good zone back for sure, and he can catch a little bit.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, man. That's a good question. Do you worry about the defense playing worse if or when Patrick Graham gets a head coaching job? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a damn good point, man. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to get through this season.
Yeah. What QB in the upcoming draft is a great fit for this offense? That's a damn good question, because I haven't got the I say Cam Ward just because I like Cam Ward a lot. I do like Cam Ward a lot. Just because I feel like that he could play from the pocket. He makes some crazy throws on film. He's like the most exciting guy that I've watched. I watched Shedeur Sanders. I just wasn't excited. He took a lot of sacks. Like there's
I thought it was the O-line's fault.
it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Like he's not helping, but they're bad.
Yeah,
but he's not helping.
yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Like my thing with like Shador and like I think our guy Derek Klassen has been on the show, friend of the program, talked about it. Like he does a lot of things like good. There's just not like a whole lot like great about his game. And then on top of it, like his pocket management, like you said, is awful. Like, yes, the O-line at Colorado last year was bad, but him dropping back 10, 15 yards, 20 yards sometimes on sets because, again, which might be a result of the O-line not playing well, didn't help anybody out. Like, that's the thing. Like, when the O-line wasn't playing well, he tried to play hero ball instead of, like, getting the ball out quick and kept dropping backwards, which I think it was part of the frustration if you're a Colorado fan last year with some of the decisions they made. But I mean, for me, I still, like I said a little bit before, Cam Ward, I haven't watched too much Cam Ward, so we'll see how it all unfolds this year. But I think going back to Carson Beck, got a strong arm that can push the ball down the field, and I think grew as the year went on last year. It's just a matter of can he take that next step upstairs with the mental part of the game and making the reads.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I'm a big Cam Ward guy. He's just a guy that impressed me. Epps, what about Paulo over Epps for the physicality? No, I would say you gotta play Epps. Epps is like the leader. He like made those guys like start hanging out together and stuff. He's a leader.
Yeah, Epps is physical too. He's just not as big.
Yeah. I mean, Herbert's good in outside zone though, so that's why you'd want to get another back. What are we saying about how Bowers look? Bowers has looked fantastic, bro. That's what I would say. He has looked the part. That dude, and he's like taking carries. Somebody asked me who takes the most carries. I saw that question earlier. I kind of skipped it, but dog, the tight end group is fine. You know, that's why I said like I think either quarterback can like get it done enough. It's just, you know, they got to avoid the turnovers. You know, Minshew's going to take more sacks than O'Connell. Those are kind of the things that kind of go back and forth there. But, you know, my thing with Minshew is just like, you know, I feel like that he's just not the future. So it's just that's my outlook on it, kind of, you know. But maybe he is. Maybe he just throws 30 touchdowns. Maybe maybe I'm wrong, you know, and I'd be happily wrong about that. I'll eat crow. You guys could talk all the shit you want to me, all you want. If I'm wrong on that, let me know, and I'll be happy about it. I'll take it. Yeah. I think we're gonna. I'm trying to make sure I got to all these questions. I didn't miss any. Yeah, I think we're good because people are asking us about soup, so I think we're questioned out. But I'll get these last two. Who are the Raiders likely to be able to pick a quarterback 2025? Yeah, you know, maybe we shouldn't be talking about quarterbacks as much, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see how the Raiders go, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just not the biggest fan of this class so far because, you know, we'll see. Because there's like the dude from LSU, he might be really good. I saw somebody talk about that. We don't know. We don't know. But what else? Would you take a flyer on Trey Lance? Yeah, Trey Lance is awful.
I saw him throw a pick literally right to a linebacker.
Yeah.
The other day, I'm like, yeah, this is Trey Lance. I remember watching the preseason last year.
Yeah. Somebody said 2026 Archie Manning.
Is he? What would that be? So he'd have 1 year at Texas as a starter because Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter this year?
Yeah. Is Quinn Ewers going to play the whole year? That's the thing. I don't know. He might get pulled for
Manning. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Gonna get 10 questions here. So I hope you guys join us. We got like 458 people in here today, though. Goddamn. Yeah, so we get film soon here, guys. Like this is we are when's the game? Saturday?
Yep.
Monday. We're gonna have film, guys, next Monday. I don't know if you're excited about that, but I'm fucking excited about it. So it's gonna be preseason film, and it's gonna annoy me, but I don't care at this point. It's gonna be brand new film. We're gonna have brand new film breakdowns for you guys. We don't have to do these lives all the time anymore. Answer your guys' questions. The film is coming. We're close to the point of this whole damn channel. We're here close. We're getting there. You know, it does say Raiders Film Channel. We're getting close to the film coming, guys. We got it. And we do your deep dive into Glaze, get Trey Taylor, you get all those looks here. I'm excited about that. This is a question. This is a good question. I like this question. We ended on this one. I dream of Higgins. Glenn dreams of Josh Allen. What is your dream? What is the secret player you're trying to bring to the Raiders, Matt?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I guess I haven't thought about it like that. Maybe. I don't know. Just have to be a free agent.
Yeah,
Maybe Marshawn Lattimore.
Okay. All right. I like that one.
If the Saints don't, if the Saints stumble out of the gates and want to eventually stop getting in this purgatory that they've been in for the last 10 years, where they're in cap hell every year, maybe get rid of their corner.
Yeah.
Terrell's another guy. AJ Terrell. He's a free agent this year for the Falcons.
I really like that one. I like that. So yeah. Let's get it, man. We're doing that. And JPJ, he's still hurt, guys. So I saw a lot of questions about that. But we're out of here, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Like I said, we got the film coming, guys. If you're new here, there's gonna be tons of film coming this year. So get ready for that. And we get all the breakdowns for you coming, guys. So hit the subscribe button, subscribe. We are out of here. Peace.